I've made quite a few interior design mistakes as I've been decorating my home, but I found the perfect formula to getting your home Pinterest worthy. Today, we're breaking down my full process to create a designer worthy room. And I'm going to show you how by redesigning my bedroom. This is a sneak peek of what you're going to see coming on my channel later in the next couple months, but I wanted to show you my process of how I go about creating a room. First, you should know about my secret weapon, which is my interior design book. I give a full breakdown of how I create this process on Substack, so if you're interested, check it out. And I do it completely analog. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to be using a combination of different tools. So the computer as well as my favorite little design notebook. This notebook houses everything that I ever need when I am designing a room. So everything from the floor layout to the text styles, everything. I even keep the receipts in here of purchases I've made specifically for the home. The reason this is so important is because I take this shopping with me when I'm ready and planned out my entire room. So the first step that we're going to take is coming up with a design concept. Now this can be anything. It can be something like a word, a phrase, type of feeling. So for this room, I already kind of love how it looks, but I want to change a couple things. My goal is to create a bedroom that is very tranquil. Anyway, when you're choosing a theme for your room, you're going to want to think about what the feeling is that you want to evoke in the room. I think this is a really helpful exercise, and I actually take the time to write it all out because I want to have an idea in my head that gets fleshed out on paper. When I'm writing the design brief, I do a couple of things. I start with the project overview and the scope of it. So what's the problem that I'm currently facing and how much I think is involved for the scope. Then I write about what I'm trying to achieve in this room. So in this case, that's our design theme and our guiding light. I treat this as my North Star. So if you're familiar with product management or project management, that's basically what it is. A North Star is something that's like your guiding light. All your decisions are informed by that North Star, so our theme. Then I talk about what the aesthetic's gonna be. So in this case, dreamy, pink, greens, whites. Then we're gonna talk about project constraints. In this case, there is a budget that I'm trying to maintain. There's the color of the walls, for instance, things along those lines. But really, you should just kind of not think of the solution initially and think of the problem only. Throughout the process, you'll develop the skills and the understanding that you need to design the whole room. But I am guilty of solving problems before I have a full grasp of the situation. So really write in your design brief the problem, not the solution. The next thing you're going to want to do is create a color scheme and a mood board. I like to do this in conjunction with each other because sometimes my mood board dictates my color scheme and sometimes the color scheme dictates the mood board. I do spend some time on Pinterest. This is one of the ways that I like to plan a mood board, and in this case I used a design software named Spoke, but we're going to do this in a couple different ways. So there are several magazines that I have pulled from my archives that I will use to create said mood board, and I think that it's fun to do it the analog way or by hand. So if you don't have software, you don't really need it. I will also try to avoid Pinterest sometimes to see if I can do it myself, because for a while designers didn't have things like Pinterest and people didn't have access to Pinterest. So surely there's a way to gather inspiration. Now, the reason I try to stay away from Pinterest is because I feel like it feeds me the same content over and over again. Yes, you can search things and that is helpful, but I still feel like I'm fed content from the algorithm that it thinks I like at the expense of showing me something new. So I like to go through magazines. I like to find things that are inspiring to me, maybe even quotes. But those are some of my sources of inspiration. Other areas of inspiration that I get are from books. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a book about interior design, though it certainly can be. I do try to stay away from other designers' works because I don't want it to inform my design choices, but that's just a personal preference. You do you. One of the things that I like to do is to look through photography books. There is an art book of Georgia O'Keeffe's paintings. I think it is an absolutely extraordinary read. I like to take pictures from that and put them into my notebook. I also found a book at Half Price Books, and it's about the golden age of haute couture. I thought that was really interesting, and it had a bunch of stuff in there that I thought would be good for this mood board. For instance, I love the front cover. I love this dress. It is kind of a representation of the vibe I'm going for. It is the wrong pink, but I do think it looks quite lovely. You know, I think what I love the most about it is that it's a watercolor, and that just screams to me tranquility, and since that's the theme we're going for, it's perfect. I also like to use my own photography, so I've been trying to get into photography lately, and that's one of the things that I'm using. The next step, which is the layout of the room. For me, I like to get familiar with the room and see what exactly I have to work with. This also includes, at least in my case, I like to get an idea of the furniture that I plan on using that's already in the room, if the room isn't empty. So in this case, there's a bed, 2 nightstands, a dresser, and there's also an armoire. We also have a little nook in the corner with both a chair and a bedside table, which I absolutely adore reading there. There are some improvements that I want to make that I already have in my head. Back to the layout. What we're going to do is map this whole room. So my husband and I are measuring this room. It is actually one of the largest rooms in the house. I love it. Floor plan wise. I don't love that the windows are right in the way of the bed because it just doesn't have a good layout in that sense, but the room is workable. Once I have the measurements of the room, I'll throw them into my journal, and that, again, I don't know, there's something about looking at a floor space and actually getting the measurements down that helps me process. It's like solving a puzzle. Okay, after we have the measurements, we're going to take that and create a floor plan. You can do this 2 ways. You can use a design software like Spoke or SketchUp or Canva even, I think. I'm not positive on that one. Or you can do it by hand, which requires math. Ew. But that's okay. And ironically, I do math for a living, so it is particularly funny that I find this challenging. But anyway, we're gonna take our measurements and create this to scale floor plan. So I've created one here, which is the one that I did on Spoke, and one here, which I did by hand. Now, you'll see that I use graph paper for the one, and this is 1/4 inch graph paper that I use. So if you're in the metric system, there is a different way to do this, but I also used an architect's ruler. So 1 foot equals one of the 1/4 squares. I use the architect's ruler when you have uneven things. So like if it's 10 feet by, I don't know, 9 inches, you're not gonna have a perfect foot. Or a perfect square that you can mark that edge off of. So I use the architect's ruler in that case. I also do it for smaller scale things. So in this case, the nightstand tables, I'll use that to mark out how small they actually are because they're not a foot. Then what I do is I cut out to scale pieces of the furniture, glue them on some cardstock, and then write out what they are. I do not put these on the layout, I put them to the side. Then what I enjoy doing is creating a to scale elevation plan as well. And that's just like, if you were to review this wall, so not a bird's eye view where you're looking from above, but like an elevation plan. I'll mark out my power outlets, I'll mark out any lights, so if there were sconces on the wall, I'll do that. And I'll also mark out where there are windows. This is helpful because it gives you kind of a view of the room overall. And then once again, we put it in our notebook. Now, originally my plan had been to use this notebook because it has a dotted grid on it. Now, I have not used this because it is not the right dimensions, nor is it large enough. I do recommend getting a notepad, a graph paper notebook, then doing this step if you're gonna do it by hand. Otherwise, there is a free trial of SketchUp. It looks difficult to use and I have not personally used it. The other thing you can do is use Spoke, which is more user-friendly, still a little confusing at times, but definitely helpful. So now comes the layout. Now, I really think this is a challenging aspect of any design process, especially if you've been living in a room already. So if you have lived in your house for a while, there's probably furniture there, and you probably are thinking like, how in the world do I put this all together and make it look different than it already was? Now, in this bedroom, it's a little more tricky because of the way it's planned out. There's only one wall that doesn't have windows on it. And then the other wall that wouldn't have a window has a door. There are 2 doors in this room. So it is quite difficult for me to find a different layout than what I had done before, but we're gonna try. The other thing is that when you've lived with something so long, you get ingrained to that. So what I like to do is either take out all the furniture in the room and just start from scratch, or much easier, we can just take our graph paper that we made the layout with, and we can take the small scale furniture and place it onto the paper and move it around. At the same time, we're going to plan out what furniture we want in the room. So I'm going to start, because I have already have completed project with this room. I think we're going to start with laying out furniture first that we already have, and then filling in the gaps to see what we need to add. Now, if you're starting room from scratch, then it's a little more difficult, right? Because you have to figure out exactly what you want to add into this room. However, figuring out what you want to put in a room, while a little more daunting when you have a blank canvas, is still fun, or at least in my case, I find it fun. And I will skip to finding inspiration for what I want to add in there and think about what's necessary in your room. Do you need a nightstand? Do you need more storage for your clothes? It just kind of depends on what you think would be best. Now comes the fun part. You've glued all your pieces onto the paper. You're going to now start thinking about what you want to add to this room. I want decorative elements. I want an ottoman. I would like different bedside tables, maybe even chests. Then I also like to think about the accents, the fun part, the frosting on the cake, if you will. So you're going to think about like the lamps that you want. Lighting is really important, by the way, and I can do a whole video just talking about lighting in general, because it is so essential to an overall feel of a room. I don't like overhead light. It is far too bright. I want soft, warm light that feels comfy and cozy, particularly in the bedroom. So we're not doing that. All right, so now I'm gonna play around with my design. In Spoke, I'm using the rendering software to create a plan. So I've taken pictures of the bedroom, I threw them into Spoke, and then I got rid of all the clutter so that you couldn't see anything. And now I'm starting to just play around with it and see what I want to add, what I want to subtract. I already have an idea because we made a list of the furniture that we wanted, the accents that we wanted, things like that. And now I'm just throwing those images into Spoke. So as you can see, I've added quite a few details in here. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this magic visualization. They give you 3 per project, and then you're just gonna create a rendering of the room. Now what's really cool about this is it gives you a view of what to expect in this room. I think this has been very helpful because it has helped me avoid some really disastrous mistakes, things that would not have looked good together in the room. Now, obviously the colors are not going to be super accurate. It is dependent on the photographer, the lighting that they used, your screen, a bunch of factors all together. So just go with that in mind. You might want to actually take your samples, your paint samples, your color samples, whatever you've chosen, take them to the store if you have a local store, and then match them up next to the object, and that's really good. I got this Benjamin Moore paint color right here, and this one is a perfect match for our bedspread. I just take that with me every time I go shopping for any textile related stuff. I also sent away for some samples of fabric that I thought would look nice for the pelmets of this room. Pelmets are just these like large rectangular things. They kind of look like valances. It's a window treatment, so it goes above the window. And if you're like me and you're crafty and you want to design your room and do it yourself, you may want to order fabric samples before you purchase anything. Don't make my mistakes. Just don't. So anyway, I ordered fabric samples too. They're on the way. They will not arrive before this video goes out, but I thought I would show you my process. I also collect those in here. So I have some samples of different fabrics that I've requested. This is for the living room actually, so sneak peek of that as well. Okay, so you might have noticed that the light has changed in here, and that is because I took a little dinner break and got myself a glass of wine. Also, the next step in this process is to do a rendering or a drawing. So like we discussed before, I did this rendering in Spoke, but you can also hand draw your stuff if you are talented. And even if you're not, give it a try. It's so much fun to just create with your hands. I'm actually going to show you one of the pictures that I recently did. Is it amateurish? Yes. Do I absolutely love it? Also yes. And in my next kitchen makeover video, which will be coming out soon, I'm gonna actually hang this picture in my kitchen. But finally, we can get on to my absolute favorite part of this entire process, which is going out and buying stuff. So you can go to estate sales, you can go to the thrift store, you can go to a traditional furniture store. I don't know. You could go and look at vintage and antique stores. The options are endless. And there is an option for everyone. Well, sort of, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. So you don't have to spend a ton of money. Actually, Facebook Marketplace is a really, really great resource for finding vintage furniture, stuff that's made really well, and it's not necessarily that expensive. You can even find some of it for free. People are desperate to get rid of things, and if you have a will and a way, you might be able to get that chest of drawers for, I don't know, free. But in terms of what I would like to purchase for this room, I actually created a list in my journal, and I have a couple things that I would, well, not a couple, a laundry list of things that I would like. Now, not all of this is feasible because it is quite expensive to shop for the home. There are different ways that you can shop for the home without spending a lot of money, like I mentioned before, but there are some things that are just gonna cost a lot. Like, for instance, the drapes in here, even though they came from IKEA, they're still on the pricey side. I spent maybe like $200 on all of these curtains in here, but that was like 4 years ago when inflation wasn't insane. Anyway, I would like curtain shears, a bedspread to put at the end of the bed. So I'm thinking like a quilt maybe. I think that would look really darling. I hesitate, and I've said this before, I hesitate buying textiles from thrift stores and places like that, but a vintage or an antique quilt would just look spectacular in there, especially if it were like a treillage kind of situation. So either green or pink. I want 2 new nightstands, or I want 2 chests for either side of the bed so that we have a little more storage in there. If we can't make that happen, we're just going to cover those ugly Wayfair bedside tables with a tablecloth. It's going to hide all the junk in there, which some of you have mentioned I have a problem with in my bathroom. We're going to do that. I'd like to get an ottoman. I want an ottoman so bad so that I can sit over in that reading nook and just kick my feet up. But also a chaise lounge would be really, really good too. It's just unfortunate that those are hard to find and I'd have to reupholster it. So we are going to slip cover it in one of the fabrics that I got a sample for. I would like to get double curtain rods for the bedroom as well so that I can hang one set of thermal curtains and then the pink curtains. Now the reason I'm doing this is because our house gets very hot and has very little insulation. If you know, you know. And in the summer, it's unreasonably warm. So if I had the thermal curtains, they will block out more, well, they'll insulate more of the house. So that would be nice. And then obviously I want the pink in there because it's just so delightful. I want some aesthetic organization for under the bed, or better yet, I'd like to get everything under the bed and put into a different place. But if we don't, we're gonna go for these wicker baskets, and they're under the bed baskets from the Container Store. Finally, we have little decorative elements like a little clock in there because I don't want to be using my phone every night, some picture frames. I do want to hang a bunch of pictures on the wall. I'm terrified of cracking the plaster in here, and since it's a rental, I'm not going to do it myself, so we're hiring handyman. Actually, that's one of the reasons why my kitchen makeover video hasn't gotten done yet, is because we have a handyman coming and he's taking a little bit of time to fix everything and make our kitchen look nice, but I promise I will be getting that video out later. And then it's install day. So install month in my case, months plural, because I do my makeovers very slow. Anyway, this is just when you put everything in the room, paint the walls, whatever. And that's pretty much wrapping up the entire process of how I plan my room designs. And if you'd like to see more of this content, check out this video here where I show you my bathroom makeover. It's a fun one. A couple people mentioned in the comments that it looks a little messy at the end, and you're right. So I am going to be doing an update to that bathroom. So stick around and I'll see you in the next one.